Never-Ending Narratives presents Altar of Omnia, written by hero protagonist. Chapter 1. Pressing Start. The year 2050 was a masterpiece of managed comfort, and Kenji hated every optimized second of it. The 10-hour shift was a total soul-sucking slog. Kenji spent the final hour staring at a human presence-required icon on his terminal. He was an attendant, a member of the service class paid $19 an hour to be a biological paperweight, while an AI agent optimized a data center in Neo-Tokyo. 80% of the world's wealth belonged to the owners, the Titan families who controlled the infrastructure. The machines did the actual work, but the wealthy clients still wanted a human touch to witness the progress bar move. He was a digital security blanket that breathed.
"Shift complete. Get out of here, drone,"
Kenji muttered to himself, mimicking the dry, synthetic voice of the system. He caught his reflection in the dark terminal screen. An average-height African-American man with a fresh, bald fade that cost him 2 hours of wages. It was a stupid expense, a financial mistake he made every 2 weeks just to feel like he still had some control over his own image. It was a mask, a way to fake it until he made it, even if making it felt impossible. He flashed his salesman's smile, a reflex honed by years of placating rich idiots. It was a perfect, disarming grin that reached his eyes but never touched his soul. He caught the $400 a month subscription SUV home. The car was a self-driving beast the size of a small room. An attendant named Chloe handed him a ginger ale and asked about his vitality levels. It was peak convenience, but it was a gilded cage. He didn't own the car, he didn't own the soda, and he sure as hell didn't own the 30 hours of his life he just traded for a paycheck. In this world, ownership was dead. You didn't buy a home, you leased a modular apartment. You didn't buy entertainment, you licensed the right to view it. The only thing Kenji actually owned was his frustration, that, and the hope of the Altar of Omnia. The game offered the one thing the real world couldn't: time wealth. Thanks to the 24-to-1 time dilation, a standard 10-hour sleep cycle could become 10 days of living, breathing, and fighting in a world that didn't care about your credit score. The dual income gamble. He walked into the apartment and saw Lyra already geared up. She was wearing her favorite loungewear, a silk camisole that did absolutely nothing to hide the fact that she was distractingly gorgeous. Lyra was a stunning Nigerian woman, tall and statuesque, with skin the color of deep ebony that seemed to absorb the ambient light of the room. She had the kind of curves that made men walk into traffic, and a face that could have graced the cover of any fashion mag, if she hadn't chosen to terrify actuaries for a living instead.
"Welcome back to our humble cage, city boy,"
Lyra said, her voice rich and teasing. She moved with a feline grace, guiding him toward the small kitchen table.
"Sit. I made jollof rice with spicy grilled snapper. Real ingredients, Kenji. Not that processed nutrient paste they serve in the corporate lounges."
As they sat down to eat, the weight of the day began to lift. The spice hit Kenji's tongue, warming him from the inside out.
"Tonight's the night,"
Kenji said, looking at the two Omnia X pods standing in the corner like high-tech sarcophagi.
"It's insane when you think about it. We're going to close our eyes for 8 hours and wake up having lived an entire week, a 7-day vacation in the taiga while our bodies just hover here."
"A week of glory, city boy."
Lyra corrected, a savage, playful grin spreading across her face.
"A week where I don't have to look at a single actuarial spreadsheet and you don't have to smile at a single corporate drone. We're going to spend 7 days in the dirt, staining our hands with the blood of goblins, hunting trolls through the mist, and, if we're lucky, finding some grumpy dwarves so I can make fun of their ridiculous beards. The technology is a miracle, Kenji, but only if we use it to actually live.
After dinner, they huddled around the holographic projector to finalize their spawn point. Kenji leaned over the map, placing a hand on the back of her chair, letting his fingers graze her shoulder. He tapped the glowing icon of the Iron Citadel.
The Citadel.
Kenji said, his voice firm.
We need the dojo. We need the weapon shops. I can't become a sword saint hitting trees with a stick, Lyra. The path to the Blade Master class starts there. It's safe, it's structured, and the quests are guaranteed.
Lyra frowned, the amber glow fading from her eyes as she slapped his hand away from the map with the sharp efficiency of a predator. She pulled up a different overlay, a jagged green expanse marked with skulls that pulsed like a dying star.
The Citadel is a cage for the spineless, Kenji, a monument to those who would rather pay for the illusion of safety than claim the reality of power,
She declared, her voice ringing with a fierce poetic heat.
You spend a fortune every month on your real-world kendo dojo, hitting bamboo sticks in a padded room. Haven't you had enough of structured growth? I seek the Druid Grove. I want magic that answers to my blood.
The Druid Grove is a myth.
Kenji snapped.
Nobody has even seen a Druid NPC.
Because they aren't looking where the wolves are.
Lyra fired back. She pulled up a grainy Reddit thread on her wrist link.
Look, a verified sighting in the Whispering Taiga. Someone found the NPC and they're auctioning the coordinates on the forums right now. The bid is at $180 and climbing. If we don't move now, some corporate whale will buy it.
You want us to spawn in a level 20 death zone on a forum rumor?
Kenji's voice rose.
We'll be wiped in 5 minutes, $190 down the drain.
And you're betting it on being a coward.
Lyra stood up, her height giving her an edge as she glared down at him.
You want the noob shield because you're scared you can't cut it without the system holding your hand. You want to be bound, don't you? To pay that citizenship fee just so you can respawn in their sterile little graveyard.
She paced the small room, her silk camisole catching the blue light of the holographic map.
Think, Kenji, every credit of that fee is just a tax, a kickback for the developers, and a dividend for whatever player king owns the Citadel. You'd be a tenant. Again, you'll pay them for the right to breathe their air, and they'll take a cut of every shop you visit and every NPC artisan you hire. They grow rich while you grind rats in the cellar just to pay your digital rent. It's the same cage, just with a different sky.
The room went silent. The accusation hung in the air like smoke. Kenji internal monologue.
Oh, you did not just call me a coward. I deal with Karens who threaten to sue me because their toaster won't connect to Wi-Fi. I have the patience of a saint, but right now, I want to flip this desk and tell you exactly where you can shove your ley lines.
But he didn't. He saw the tremor in Lyra's hand. She wasn't just angry, she was desperate. She needed this world to be real. Kenji took a deep breath, exhaling the rage, and engaged service desk mode. It was a mental macro he'd run 1,000 times to stop a disaster before it started. Step 1, de-escalate the hostility.
Okay,
Kenji said, his voice dropping to a calm, smooth baritone. He held up his hands, palms open.
you're right. I am scared. I'm scared of losing the money. I'm scared of watching us get wiped and waking up back here with nothing.
Lyra blinked, the fight draining out of her as the target disappeared.
Kenji,
Step 2, validate the user's goal.
But you're also right about the Citadel.
Kenji continued, stepping closer and gently taking her hand.
It's a cage. And if the Druid class is real, it's the only way to break the system. You have the vision, Lyra. I'm just looking at the spreadsheets.
Step 3, propose a workaround.
So, we do it your way.
Kenji said, looking her in the eyes. He glanced at the auction timer on her screen, 2 minutes remaining.
We go to the Taiga. We find your grove, but we manage the risk. No expensive gear. We spend the bankroll on that data packet instead.
Lyra looked at him, searching his face.
But your sword training, the dojo,
I don't need a dojo.
Kenji lied smoothly, flashing that salesman's smile again, though this time it felt a little more desperate.
If I want to be the best, I shouldn't be hitting target dummies. I should be parrying wolves. I'll learn the hard way. I'll carve a bokken from a tree and teach myself the physics engine. It'll be the ultimate training montage.
Lyra didn't hesitate. Her fingers blurred across the interface. $190 bid placed. The timer ticked down. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Auction closed. Winner. User _Lyra_99. Data packet downloading. Lyra let out a breath she'd been holding, her shoulders relaxing. She looked at Kenji, a small, triumphant smile playing on her lips.
you'd do that? Spawn in a death zone with a stick just to help me find a tree?
I'd spawn in hell with a toothpick if it got you what you wanted.
Kenji said, and for once, he wasn't selling anything.
Besides, first sword saint self-taught in the wild sounds legit to me. Deal?
Deal.
Lyra said, squeezing his hand.
Now let's go be legends.
The sink. Maximum pain. Maximum gain. They climbed into their Omnia X pods. The gel hissed, cooling against Kenji's skin as the neural link began to hum. Welcome to the Altar of Omnia, current spawn. Selected Whispering Taiga Wild Zone. Warning, you are currently unbound. Note, death will result in permanent avatar deletion. Proceed? Yes. Kenji pulled up his settings. He looked at the sensory feedback slider. The factory default was 5%. Safe, comfortable, numb. Just like his life. Kenji grabbed that slider and slammed it all the way up to 80%. Critical warning. 80% pain sensitivity detected. You are bypassing 90% of the safety dampeners. You will feel cold, fatigue, and absolute agony. Neural trauma risk is elevated. Do you wish to proceed?
If I can't feel it, I can't dodge it.
Kenji whispered. Proceed. The landing. Welcome, traveler. The world loaded and punched Kenji in the soul. He hit the ground with a bone-jarring thud. The 80% feedback made the impact feel like he'd been dropped off a building. The air was a freezing, jagged blade that smelled of wet dirt and rotting pine. The wind howled through the trees, carrying a sound that wasn't quite wind. A low, distorted whisper that sounded like corrupted audio files grinding together. The Whispering Taiga was living up to its name. Notification. You have entered the Whispering Taiga. Quest alert. Survival is the only metric. Reward. Living to see the next hour. Kenji shivered violently, his teeth rattling like a bag of marbles. He was in rags, he was freezing, and he was $190 in the hole. A few meters away, Lyra manifested with a soft shimmer. She didn't gasp. She didn't shiver. She went instantly still. Even in the freezing mist, she looked incredible. The default ragged chemise, basically a torn linen napkin, clung to her damp skin, highlighting the curve of her hips and the swell of her chest. It was designed to make her look vulnerable, but Lyra didn't do victim. She stood with a posture that made the rags look like high-fashion couture.
Okay, priority update. Survive the forest, find the Druid Grove, and then find a very warm, very private cave to celebrate in. Because damn.
But while Kenji was focused on the cold and the view, Lyra was already working. She stood perfectly still, her eyes suddenly igniting with an intense, steady amber glow as the $190 deep lore packet integrated directly into her neural link. Kenji watched her, mesmerized and terrified. She wasn't looking at the trees. She was absorbing a mountain of raw, unformatted data. After a moment, the glow faded, and she blinked, her expression hardening into something ancient and fierce.
What does it say?
Kenji rasped, hugging himself to keep his chest from seizing in the cold.
Does the packet give us a waypoint?
It was a massive info dump, city boy. No waypoints.
Lyra said, her voice dropping into a focused and thoughtful murmur.
The short version. If I want to find the druids, I can't just walk up to them. I have to be attuned to nature magic. I need to learn to speak with the beasts of this forest before the forest decides to eat us. We need to find a defensible position, and we need to do it now. I have to start practicing my spells and testing my voice on whatever animals are brave enough to listen.
She began to turn, scanning the gloom when she suddenly went rigid.
Kenji, don't move.
She whispered.
Lyra, I'm literally turning into an ice cube. We need to find cover.
I said freeze.
She hissed, her bravado replaced by primal intuition. She was sensing a ripple in the environment.
The balance of this clearing just shifted. The wind hasn't changed, but the birds have gone silent. There is a presence here, something foul and hungry.
Kenji froze. He had no weapon. He remembered the deal. Carve your own. His eyes darted to the mud, spotting a fallen branch of dark, heavy iron oak.
Threat assessment?
He asked, his voice barely a breath as he reached for the wood. Lyra didn't look back. She slowly reached down and palmed a heavy, jagged stone, weighing it with a warrior's intent.
High, very high. We aren't alone. Something in those trees has been tasting our fear since the second we manifested.
Kenji's eyes darted to the shadows. A grayed-out bar appeared in his vision. Skill creation. Locked. Requirements. Perform a significant act of manual discipline.
All right,
Kenji hissed, stepping in front of Lyra. He gripped the iron oak branch. At 80% sensitivity, the rough bark felt like it was biting into his skin, every knot and ridge registering with hyper-real clarity. The pain was sharp, but it was the only thing grounding him. He fell into a kendo stance, the wood heavy and real in his hands.
let's see if those years of tuition were worth it.
This has been a Never-Ending Narratives production, Altar of Omnia, written by Hero Protagonist. Thank you for listening. New chapters arrive weekly. Stay tuned.